We got our callers, if you will, our insiders, and then Robert McIntyre works for an institution called Citizens for Tax Justice. Mr. McIntyre, as our guest, we welcome you to the program, and you get the chance to speak first. There is a significant argument that's about to ensue in this town over the next 6 months on what tax rates ought to be, specifically on the corporate level. Walk us through your particular agenda.
Well, the Treasury Department put out a report in conjunction with this effort, and it really gets an A in terms of analyzing the problem. I mean, first of all, they point out that our corporate tax rate is quite similar to that in our major trading partners, the G7, 39 versus 36. So the propaganda that we're way out of line, they dispute that. And secondly, and more importantly, they point out that our real corporate tax rate is much below our trading partners because of all the loopholes we have in the tax law for the corporations. In fact, they totaled them up at $1.2 trillion for these loopholes in cost.
Right. So to that end, and everything you say is absolutely true, but at the same time, we also have the highest, or we're virtually tied with Japan, for the highest corporate tax rate in the world. Why not make more of an effort to try to get that number down?
Well, see, that's the issue here is two. One, our corporate rate isn't that far out of line, but our real rate is much below it because we have all these tax breaks. And as Treasury points out, these are hurting our economy, not helping us because they're distorting capital investment. So what we need to do, as they almost point out, is broaden the corporate tax base so we tax companies on what they really make. Then the question is, what do you do with all the money that you raise from that?
Right.
And that's what the real argument's about.
Well, Bob, it's John Harwood. If you could broaden the base, take away some of the deductions across the board, would you think that lowering the overall rate would be in line?
Well, you might be able to lower it a point or two, but as Alan Greenspan pointed out yesterday, and I'm not a big fan of his, but he was right on this, the government faces huge fiscal problems in the future, particularly as the baby boomers retire and the government has to start paying back Social Security, all the money it's borrowed from it. So any place that you can get money that doesn't hurt the economy, but in fact helps it by getting capital investment going where the market wants it to go rather than where the government wants it to go, well, that seems to me to be a twofer, and we could deal with our fiscal problems and make ourselves more competitive by broadening the corporate tax base.
Let's skip into reality for just 1 second here. What, if anything, Christian, do you think will actually happen when this is all said and done? In other words, do you think anything will be changed 6, 9, 12 months from now on tax policy in Washington?
Well, I think that's an excellent question because part of what I think is going on this week is a really brilliant political move by the Treasury. I think they are applying the maxim that the best defense is a good offense really, really cleverly on the tax front. And, they are trying to move the agenda towards, do we need to lower corporate taxes? Whereas, in fact, the political debate so far, and I think this is where it will continue to be, is all about how maybe we need to increase corporate taxes, not generally, but on specific groups, especially private equity and hedge funds.
Is there any meaningful body of evidence or consensus, John Hilsenrath, that speaks to the impact that the corporate tax rate is having on our competitiveness right now?
I don't think we're there yet. I think if we get a few more years of the kind of growth breakdown that we've gotten in the last year, then we might see that, because the U.S. economy is growing significantly slower than a lot of other places in the world, but in fact the Europeans still trail behind us. Harwood would have a better view on this than anyone else, but it seems to me we're talking about a political stalemate here, just in terms of the politics of this.
You get the last word, John.
Well, Dylan, I think we're not talking about legislating here. We're talking about both parties drawing lines for the 2008 elections, and we're going to have a big argument in that election about whether or not taxes need to go down or come up for some and down for others. And we're really talking about setting the stage for what happens in 2009 when we get a new president.
All right. Listen, Bob, thank you for making the time for us. John, thank you for stopping by.